among the many conditions that affect your eye, we have short sight, which is known as myopia. So this is one defect that affects your eye. Apart from myopia, we have long-sightedness or long sight, which is known as hypermetropia. So this long-sightedness is known as hypermetropia, and this short-sightedness is known as myopia. And then the last one, which is on C, is called blindness. And under blindness, we have night blindness. Number 2, we have river blindness. Number 3, we have blindness due to injury. And number 4, we have color blindness. So I've never seen a person who is colorblind, but I just know that it is real. And then let's move on to a short-sighted person who we can refer to someone having myopia, right? So this is the eye defect where an individual can see clearly close objects but cannot see clearly those objects which are distant. All right, so they are able to see what is near, but when we talk about distant objects, when the objects are quite far, they become blurry. So this person is having myopia, which is short sight. So this is happening because the light rays from the distant objects are brought into focus or in front of the retina. So it is caused by an abnormally long eyeball or a permanently thick lens, and it can be controlled by using concave lenses. All right, so these concave lenses are going to help in order to cause those light rays not to appear before the retina. They are going to appear on the right place where they are supposed to appear. Then the person is able to see clearly. So that is myopia. And how we can control a person having myopia is by giving them concave lenses. So what concave lenses does is that it is going to bring about the in the abnormal diagram here, when we talk about it. All right, so what is happening is that as the light rays are coming, right, this person is not having any lenses. Once they come, they are going to come together, or they are going to come here at this point, and then they are going to appear before the retina. So obviously the person is going to have a blurry image for those objects which are distant. But when we give them the concave lenses, what is going to happen is that these concave lenses are going to come there, and as they come, they are going to come directly, and they are going to be formed exactly on the retina, meaning the person can see now more clearly. So that is the bit of physics that is happening there. Then we finally go to a person having a long sight, which is known as hypermetropia, right? So this hypermetropia is simply the eye defect where an individual can see clearly distant objects, but those close objects appears to be blurry. So this is caused by an abnormally short eyeball or a permanently thick lens. So in this case, the rays from the close objects are focused beyond the retina. So these ones, instead of being even formed before the retina as in myopia, then they go beyond the retina. So this is going to cause the stiffening of the lens in the thin position, and it is going to cause so this usually happens in people when they reach their old age. And then this long-sightedness, which is known as hypermetropia, can be corrected using convex lenses, right? Remember in myopia, we said we use concave. Here in hypermetropia, we use convex lenses. So what is going to happen is, here are the light rays which are coming from our object, and as they come, they are going to be formed beyond the retina. Remember we said on the retina, that is where images are formed. All right, so all this we are seeing to say here the person has got a lens which is permanently thin. So the light rays which are coming are going to be formed beyond the retina. So when they are formed beyond the retina, the person cannot manage to see. That is for those objects which are so close. They are going to appear blurry, but those that are at a distant place, the person can see them clearly. So how do we correct this? We use convex lenses, and what the convex lenses are going to do is that they are going to bring the light rays directly here on the retina. That is where the the object image is going to be formed. Now let's talk about a little bit on blindness. So this blindness is simply known as the lack or loss of visual perception. So there are different forms of blindness which are discussed below. So now these different forms are, number one, those that can be formed due to an injury to a person. Perhaps the person might be involved in an accident, and then we can also have that one which is night blindness. So this condition is where a vision becomes diminished in dim light. It is caused by a deficiency of vitamin A, right? When we talk about a person who is having blindness, so they are deficient in vitamin A, and vitamin A is required by the eye to form a visual pigment that we call rhodopsin. So this rhodopsin is required for the vision at low light intensities. So when a person is having night blindness, they are simply lacking vitamin A. And vitamin A, we said, contains a pigment which is we said is required by the eye to form a pigment that we see that is required for vision to be produced at low light intensities. All right, so hence a vitamin A deficiency leads to night blindness, which may later develop to xerophthalmia, right? Xerophthalmia, a condition where there is abnormal dryness of the conjunctiva leading to blindness. So this is how serious it is. I hope you have been having your food that is rich in vitamin A. Let's move on to river blindness. So this river blindness is a type of blindness that is caused by filarial worms known as the Onchocerca valvaris, right? So this adult worm is the kind that produce tiny larvae that we call the microfilariae, which attacks the eyes, causing glaucoma, cataract, and conjunctivitis, all these that are going to cause blindness. So river blindness is common in tropic regions that have got rivers and lakes. So this is because the vectors of this worm are flies of the genus Simulium. I now feel the need of making a video on classification of plants and the animal kingdom. So this class of worms, or this genus of worm, the Simulium, is the one that requires alkalated fresh water to breed. So the flies are going to transmit larvae of the worms from one person to another through the bites. Right now, this one it's quite powerful knowledge, but perhaps for now it's not so necessary. Then let's go to the methods of preventing or treating river blindness. So some of the methods of treating this river blindness, number one, is by spraying rivers with insecticides to kill the larva stage of the Simulium flies. Apart from that, we also need application of dimethyl phthalate, which is going to help to clothe or skin, which is going to help in clothing or the skin in order to repel the flies for several hours. Apart from this, we also need a dosage of dithicarbamazine to kill the microfilariae. And then apart from that, we also need injection of suramine to kill the adult worms in the body. Apart from that, we also need to have long clothing to prevent bites from the Simulium flies. So these flies are quite interesting. So all these are some of the measures that you can put in place in order to prevent blindness. So this marks the end of our lesson. So some key things for you to know in your eye. Make sure you are able to draw at least the external structure as well as the longitudinal section of the eye, and you are able to clearly label it. They may ask you in an essay question to draw or to talk about accommodation of the eye. So as you'll be drawing these simple diagrams, it is going to help you to even attract a few marks. Maybe when they tell you to mention the functions of the parts of the eye, that is where you'll be simply writing these parts, the sclera, the cortex, the retina. You talk about them, you talk about their function. But when they generally just give you an essay question where they want you to describe the eye and how light rays are produced, how is accommodation happening, all that, you can include simple structures, and that will help you attract a few marks. So bye bye.